Well, we could have like just done this for tomorrow.
Sorry. Everybody in the Stephen David. Yeah,
It was a Freudian slip.
the reads have begun.
You want to say hello? Happy Monday? Hi, we're all here? Or you just said screw it? No? You are the host, Al. We're here for you. So Grace Lopez is in the house, yes. And Mr. John from SFGN is in his house as well. We love him. And we have someone new to the table, Miss Sarah.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for being here.
So happy to have a commissioner at the table and a female nonetheless. So it's going to be an incredible show, all hosted by our very own Al Ferguson. In 3, 2...
Welcome to Hey What's Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Monday, October 18, 2021, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited, live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the partnership between Happening Out Television Network and HotSpots magazine. HotSpots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and we bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. And first, let's welcome anchor Faye What? She's a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. And there's a lot of L's here tonight.
Yeah.
She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate, and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is the anchor of the travel news show Happening Out.Travel. And also make sure you catch the Faye What Show Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Good evening, Faye.
Good evening, all my gay folks. I'm so excited. I just found out that I'm going to be at the Task Force Gala, so I need to lose 20 pounds by Saturday. All right, there it is.
Good luck.
We'll see how that goes. I'm going to just wrap myself up in saran wrap for the next show. You'll see. All right, let's welcome John Hayden. John is a general assignment reporter for SFGN, covering events and political developments directly affecting South Florida's LGBTQ plus community. Before joining SFGN, he had spent the last 13 years as an entertainment journalist, interviewing the biggest stars in TV, movies, and music, even American Idol finals and red carpet premieres. John now lives in Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale area, and he looks forward to continuing to cover our community. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much, Faye. And I plan on wrapping myself in saran wrap just because. Let's welcome new anchor Sarah Malega, a successful business owner, community activist, and now city commissioner for Lake Worth Beach.
Lake Worth Beach.
As a prolific volunteer coordinator and voice for the LGBTQ plus community, she has made her mark. Sarah and her wife, Dawn, opened the city of Lake Worth's first fitness facility, the Zoo Health Club of Lake Worth. SFGN named Zoo Gym Gym of the Year 4 years in a row in Palm Beach County. Making positive changes, not just in her community, but in people's lives she has touched through her businesses, volunteering, and community involvement is the focus of her life. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you for having me, and it is fun to have some women at the table. Let's welcome anchor Grace Lopez. She serves on the Miami-Dade County LGBTQ plus advisory board and is the executive director of the Aqua Foundation for Women. Woohoo! There's a party. Whose mission it is to serve and support the lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community in South Florida through grants, scholarships, and initiatives, including their newest project, Aqua Cares. She was the first Hispanic president of the Susan G. Komen Foundation of Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Ladies, it's October. Let's get those breasts tested. Is the founder for Women for Pause Incorporated and Women Against Borders, as well as the CEO and founder of the proprietary consulting agency I Manage Law Firms. Good evening, Grace.
Good evening, all. I'm so excited to be here. We're the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin the queer headlines The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, October 18th.
Well, let's begin by queering up politics. Pete Buttigieg took parental leave. White House says that should be the norm. Right-wing pundits are having a meltdown, my friend, Tucker Carlson, because Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg took paternity leave after the adoption of his and Chasten's twins. He is now returning to work. Buttigieg on MSNBC on Friday evening talked about the awe he felt upon becoming a parent, saying, quote, "Like so many working parents, I'm thinking about how best to meet that incredibly compelling responsibility, while also, of course, the other responsibilities that I have in my day job," end quote. LGBTQ plus media advocacy organization GLAAD said that while the issue of paid parental leave is key for queer families, it's one with resonance for all families. It called coverage of Buttigieg's leave a little puzzling.
Why are they giving them so much crap? I mean, like, seriously, what year are we in? Is this 1960 and I don't know about it? Like, even for the breeders, for the heterosexual people, they deserve to have both parents get leave when they have a child. Those first couple of weeks are critical. They can end up like me if they don't have both their parents there to nurture them and love them.
God forbid that happen. There's a call of action.
Well, and the mom just carried the babies for 10 months.
10 months?
10.
It's 9, bro.
10 months.
Were you in there 10 months? Does that explain what happened to you?
I was a 12-pound baby.
All the women
overbaked.
laughing.
We're all like 9, mofo.
But give them a break. The dad should be at home, if nothing else, to support the mom who has gone through the physical trauma. And the fact that it irritates Tucker Carlson is just bonus.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you that I'm a foster parent, and I believe that every parent should have the opportunity to bond with their child.
Yes.
But you hit the nail on the head when you said all the parents need a little bit of reprieve. Like, it takes a village. It literally takes a village, and everybody needs to support everybody when it comes to kids.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think this is, we talk so much about equality, and what is wrong, folks? If it were up to me, I would have parent leave for dogs adoptions. That would be what I would do.
It's interesting to me, the reaction. Buttigieg, Pete and Chasten. I just saw Mayor Pete, by the way, the new documentary over the weekend at the Outshine Film Festival, and it's amazing. Do not miss it. It's amazing. And he talked during the election race of what it would be like. He and Chasten talked about what it would be like if they could be fathers. And it's so apropos that it's premiered this weekend while he is having parental family leave. It's interesting to me because we're watching two forms of discrimination. We're obviously watching homophobia. This is a passive homophobia that we're watching. But also, for all men in America, we're watching sexism. And probably not from women in America, but from other men that are being sexist, that men should not be able to have emotional bonding with their children, and therefore parental leave doesn't make sense. That is sexist. We're being sexist to our own sexuality, which makes no sense to me at all.
Next up, we queer up South Florida. Record 40-plus black trans women killed in the United States, including South Florida's Royal Poetical Starz. Black transgender woman Royal Poetical Starz, 26, was shot to death on October 2nd in Miami Gardens, Florida. She is one of at least 40 trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people known to have died by violence in the United States this year, approaching 2020's record total of 44. Many more deaths undoubtedly go unreported or misreported. Starz, who lived in nearby Pompano Beach, was shot inside her Hummer in a residential area of Miami Gardens, South Florida Gay News reports. Police whose report misgendered and dead-named her have released few details, but her friend Sandy T. Fox told the publication she was shot 20 times, including in the face. The crime occurred about 11:30 a.m. Starz, who was widowed 2 years ago, was struggling financially, Fox said. She worked as a masseuse and had recently received a business degree from a vocational school. She was also a singer. Tori Cooper, director of community engagement for the Human Rights Campaign's Transgender Justice Initiative, commented the case as well. In a press release, Cooper said, quote, Royal Starz was shot in broad daylight in her own car. She changed her name legally, but the police still misgendered her. Too often, transgender people are denied basic humanity, even in death. Stories like these are an indictment of our society's continued devaluation of Black trans lives. Royal deserved to live and pursue her dreams, but she became yet another victim of the horrific epidemic of violence against trans and non-binary people, end quote.
I would just like to hit a point that you hit in your story, but just to reiterate it. Let's just say her name, Royal Poetical Starz. That's her name, Royal Poetical Starz. And I just keep saying it because the people who investigated her death did not say it. They never said it. So when we talk about this, every time we should just say her name for her family, for her loved ones, Royal Poetical Starz.
I agree with you. I think they reported it as a Black male was murdered. And I'm not going to get emotional, but I have a niece who's transgendered, and she's 26 years old, and she's in San Diego. And I live with this fear. You know, I try to preach to her.
It must hit very close to home.
It hits extremely close to home, you know, and I always tell her, travel in a pack, you know, always watch your back. Not everybody is as appreciative of who you are and your beauty as your family and your friends. And this is we have to keep saying her name.
You're absolutely right. But you know what's sad about that, Sarah, is that for a lot of the times, this violence against our Black and brown trans women are done domestically. It's done by someone that they know and love, and that is also something that goes unreported many, many times. You know, I hope that they find who did this. You know, I mean, think about it. 11 a.m., broad daylight in sunny South Florida. She was shot down, not once or twice, but 20 times, including in the face.
Yeah, that's definitely a hate crime when it gets that violent. And I agree with you. I think that a lot of times women and men, we're just afraid to go to the police. You know, we're afraid to get that partner or that person in trouble.
I'm curious to all of you. Don't you think what we watch at Fox News, you know, Tucker and Laura, in terms of what they propel on gender identification against the trans community, that it's like blowing a dog whistle to say that they're not only not human, but they can be disposed of as not being human, and that increases violence. Do you think that that's partially what we're seeing? The numbers are growing every year. Last year we reported, I can't believe we're already to the point where we're on the verge of exceeding last year. Don't you think that's what's happening?
I agree. Al, this is very sad. I think I've talked to many transgender women, and they'd rather go through the danger of risking their lives than calling 911. It's terrible because they're so afraid. They're so afraid to call. They're not going to be helped. They feel they're not being helped. They feel they're being abused. They feel that, yes, misgender, their dead name, they don't know who they are. It takes them hours. The whole process when they are jailed, I mean, the whole thing. So
humiliating.
It's just horrible to hear this. And I wake up every morning, and the only thing I wish I didn't see on my social media is anything about a transgender person being killed.
Yeah.
Because it's just
hatred.
Well, and it's awful. You know, we also have PTSD from the Trump administration, and he allowed it to be okay to hate. You know, then you throw on top he gave permission to hate. He said it was okay, Al, to dislike folks and to things that you didn't understand. So let's do the Fox News team, Donald Trump and Dave Chappelle telling people that transgender women, you know, are violent and dangerous, and someone goes out there with a gun and shoots them.
Yeah. You're just giving them permission.
Right. Giving them permission. Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
You know, I just say for disclosure, Tori Cooper is one of America's leading voices in the trans community and transgender rights for the HRC. I'm interviewing her tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Tori Cooper is now been selected at the White House to represent the White House on a variety of issues leading in HIV. And so I'm looking forward to that, and we for sure will discuss.
That's excellent.
Repeat the name for me one more time.
Royal Poetical Starz.
We for sure, with Tori Cooper, will discuss her name. The other thing that I would tell you is, you know, from my seat, the best I can do is step up in advocacy. I encourage you to tune in to Translation. We do a show that is a talk show that is hosted by trans people to help educate the rest of the broad community. And I suggest that you tune into translation, because it is really quite amazing. And in conjunction with that, I do a shameless plug, but it's a valuable plug. On November 18th, this network and HotSpots Magazine will host the National Trans Town Hall in the Sunshine Cathedral. It will be broadcast to the nation live. Lots of entertainers, spoken word poetry, musicians, speakers, and you have the ability to participate in the National Trans Town Hall. And it will also celebrate, and celebrate is the wrong word, it will also commemorate the International Day of Transgender Remembrance, which is specifically this issue of the horrific number of especially black trans women that have been killed in America. Please tune in November 18th. It will start at 7 p.m. Eastern live. It's going to be a beautiful event, and it's going to do the best we can from lesbians and Latinos and gay men and our straight community to lift up our trans community. November 18th.
Moving on. Queer Up education. Minneapolis is spying on queer students and then outing them to teachers and parents. Since spring of last year, Minneapolis schools have been using an online surveillance application called Gaggle to spy on students' online activity. The software flags LGBTQ related terms and has already outed at least one student to their parents. Gaggle monitors students' online behavior 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by tracking their school-issued Google and Microsoft accounts. Such accounts are likely to be used more often by poorer students who lack personal home computers. Gaggle scans the students' emails, chat messages, and other documents, including class assignments, personal files, and the search for keywords, images, or video that could indicate self-harm, violence, or sexual behavior. Gaggle's moderators then evaluate the flagged content and report any troubling finds to school officials, who can then contact a student's parents or the police. Please watch this.
While Gaggle says that it saves many student lives over the course of the year, one major problem with Gaggle is that there just isn't any independent research to confirm whether or not it's an effective intervention. Hi, my name is Mark Keyerlieber, and I'm a reporter at the 74. For the last year, I've been researching how Gaggle, a student surveillance company, monitors and tracks student behaviors on the internet during the pandemic. Gaggle attaches to the Google accounts that are associated with students' school accounts, and it looks at keywords that students type on their school computers, as well as a team of content moderators that sift through billions of student communications every year in search of potential problems. To better understand how Gaggle works, I submitted a public records request with the school district in Minneapolis that includes roughly 1,300 incidents over a 6-month period to see just, under the hood about how the program works and what it's tracking. And I found that the largest share of incidents were related to pornographic materials, but the second largest category was the one that was potentially the most interesting and problematic during the pandemic, and that's related to suicide and self-harm. So there's concerns among civil rights groups and privacy advocates that students are being flagged by a surveillance company and monitored not just by people that they don't know in a remote location that are employed by Gaggle, but are also being passed along to the school security staff and potentially law enforcement.
Is this in Texas? Oh no, it's Minneapolis. All right, same thing at this point. Oh my goodness, like how is this even, I thought, first of all, when I heard the story, I thought, is this even legal? But if a student is using a computer from a school, then they agree and they allow anything for them to use the Gaggle on there. I really truly believe that someone is going to commit suicide because of this. It's so dangerous that a kid will be outed out to their family or teacher and they will go kill themselves. And then Gaggle and this school will be responsible for that child's death. Punto.
But my concern, and you're absolutely right, but on the same side, not LGBT related, but if they spot someone who is already starting to have suicidal thoughts and are able to intervene, maybe talk to their counselor, and they should have talked to the counselor, not gone straight to the parents, in my opinion. But can you have the technology and not to say, oh, we did see this coming and we couldn't do anything to stop it? I think that there is a way to find a balance in this where somebody, I guess they give it to school officials, but there's got to become some kind of policy because it can save lives, but it can also destroy lives. And I think it can be both.
And I know this is a difficult question, but that assumes that the decision maker that is going to consume the information and then share what to do with the information is a moderator that is going to be valuable. So if somebody's anti-LGBT, you can't stop them. If they're anti-Catholic, you can't stop them. If they're anti-Muslim, you can't stop them. The problem is when you open Pandora's box, the box is open. So how do you control it? That's the issue that you hear in this report that we just did on Gaggle. And I don't know what the answer to that is.
My bigger concern is, when we all get those apps and you read all the fine print that says read, and nobody ever reads it, you scroll through. How many parents just scrolled through and clicked I accept?
All of them, Sarah.
Without knowing what was happening to their children. These people are watching everything their kids are doing and saying. And to me, there should have been more than just, a 3,000 word paragraph that nobody stopped to read. And there should have been a real hard conversation from the school board to the parents. This is happening. So if you want your kids to opt out, you need to opt out. And I understand, because I am a foster parent, the level of security you want, but it's a tool to be able to use with your child and sit the child down and say, you know what, we saw this and we want to get you with a counselor. We don't want to talk to your parents. We want you to be able to get this off your chest and work through it, right? And give the ownership to the kids.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're causing more harm, essentially.
This is a gigantic problem. We clearly have a mammoth privacy issue on our hands. We're talking about that. When I watch this, how is Minneapolis any different than if this application was used in Moscow against LGBT or Afghanistan?
Who's to say it's not?
And exactly right. Google is behind this platform technology. My goodness, is this an incredible example of good intent gone wrong?
Yes.
And that's the issue here. The technology is moving faster than our ability to adjudicate and evaluate what's the best way for us to manage. I faced this issue myself just today. I tried to share a video, and I got our production staff here in the studio to help me from Dropbox and Google. And Dropbox wanted permission to access my phone to review and be able to download through Dropbox every photo I had in my phone.
Yep.
And I stopped the person helping me going, I'm not going to accept the speed of Dropbox doing this with that privacy violation of them taking everything out of my phone as access. So I ended up not doing it. But to your point of the 3,000 words, 99 out of 100 people would have just clicked accept.
And that's when you're taking the responsibility away from the parent and you're putting it into the hands of the school board and teachers, and that's not where it should be.
This is a very dangerous problem. We must keep our eye on this word.
I just don't understand why the LGBTQ needs to be, why is it in there? Why is it like a searchable? What does that mean?
Like, is there racism? Like, how about if people are racist? That should pop up, maybe.
It should be about illegal behavior. It should be about mental health more than anything. Because I can see some goodness of this. But spying?
But it comes down to the issue of the moderator decision maker.
Exactly.
For example, if the White House in 2019, let's say, was involved in an issue like this, they may say, as gay guy, John, your content's okay, but trans person, your content is not okay.
Right.
And as a result, that's what we're going to spy on. And anything that's said that's related to trans, that's the pop-up. The same administrator could say, John's okay, the trans person is not. And it's just in the eye of the seat of the person that's making the decision. That's why this privacy invasion is so incredibly dangerous.
It's just not.
Right. Well, let's move to another continent. Queer up the world. Kenya launches LGBTQ+ police initiative to address homophobic violence. Members of the Kenya's LGBTQ+ community hardly garner any media coverage to address their issues. They are stigmatized by mainstream society, leading in some cases to decreased mental health, suicides, and increased drug use. That's why the country is now initiating a new LGBTQ plus desk at police stations and facilities nationwide. The special desk, which have already been put in place, will serve to investigate growing homophobia and other crimes against the LGBTQ plus community in Kenya in hopes in cases that they won't go overlooked. The initiative is the first of its kind in Africa outside of South Africa. Still, because homosexuality remains illegal, under Section 162 of Kenya's Penal Code, officials stress that homosexuality is still not tolerated by country officials. Sex between women in Kenya is not recognized or defined in the country's constitution, and therefore remains technically legal. Only sex between men is criminalized. But the Constitution also prohibits same-sex marriage, and in some cases, the country's gross indecency laws can be leveraged and used against both gay men and lesbians.
We think things are bad here sometimes, huh? I mean, think about it. This is crazy. They can't even, in Kenya, you can't even watch an LGBTQ themed movie, okay? Something like that is illegal. Like now they're going to have gay PD. As a gay person, I wouldn't be calling them for help. I'd be scared S-less that bad things are going to happen once the cops come,
So you don't trust
Hell to the no.
the death set.
Hell to the no.
Absolutely not. This is too dangerous.
There's a crumb.
And I think that I have friends in South Africa, and I think that part of the stigmatism down there goes back to AIDS days. And that's where the hatred really comes into play. And a lot of the people, again, it's igniting that hate, right? And unfortunately, until we change and we educate and get rid of that stigma, that's really where the key lies, not just putting a desk at a PD station.
Sarah,
that looks like you're helping, but you're really not.
the irony of that observation, unlike the American or Canada experience with early days of AIDS, in Africa, studies report 85% of all people that have ever contracted HIV or AIDS in the continent of Africa are heterosexual.
Yep.
So it just washes over when you say, this is based out of hate from HIV, which was really a straight community
Absolutely.
health crisis. It's just amazing to me. And by the way, this is the third story in a week that we've done on what's going on in Africa. And this is Kenya. We've talked about Nigeria, and don't even get us started on Ghana. It's a nightmare of what's going on in Ghana.
It's a country I would love to visit. I'm so scared to go. I just am. Queer Up News, Queer Up Trans Rights. Transgender student attacked by bully as classmates laugh and share video. When 13-year-old Ian Ring began transitioning last year, his mother's biggest fear was that he get beaten up for being trans. That fear recently came true. When it happened, Ring's fellow classmates laughed and widely shared video of his assault on the social media platform Snapchat. Now Ring, a 13-year-old transgender, old 7th grader at Dr. Jonas E. Salk Middle School in Spokane, Washington, and his family have filed 4th-degree assault charges against his attacker. Police say they've investigated whether Ring's trans identity motivated his attacker, something that would turn the assault charge into a hate crime. Ring was attacked while walking to his bus after school. Ring said, quote, "I turned around, he pushed me, and then I pushed him back, and he got closer, and he punched me, and then he continued from there. Then I had taken his glasses off to try and get him away," unquote. Instead, helping Ring's classmates just watched and laughed, recorded the attack on their cell phones. This infuriates me. This is horrible. This happens every day.
Yeah, I wish I was 13 years old. I would go to Spokane and just beat the living crap out of that bully. It's kind of what I used to do in my young days, so why not go back to it, But let's talk to these kids that watched this boy get attacked and decided to film him instead of helping. What is wrong with you kids? Stop trying to be a follower, be a leader and support this kid that's in your school doing something so phenomenal and something that's probably way out of your wheelhouse to even begin to try to do, Well,
in a way, I'm glad they recorded it because that's one
There's
word.
Proof.
Evidence. Yes, proof. Second of all, the parents are charging with 4th-degree assault. Good for them. Sue the school board. I know I said this the last time we did a story about a school being essentially negligent. Lawyers get attention. Sue the school.
And they'll win.
And they'll get, hopefully, change. Because we think of Washington as being this big blue state. Spokane is East Washington. It is right up there bordering next to Idaho, and I think that's Idaho says all we need to know.
Did you just say Fort Lauderdale and the panhandle of Florida? Is that what you just said in terms of Washington? Liberal versus not so liberal?
Quite possibly.
But it also goes back to, again, to we talk about hate. You know, these kids learn hate somewhere. Is it social media? Is it the news?
Their parents?
You know, is their parents instilling it? But it also comes to, now this is a time where those kids have to be held accountable. You know, the kids and their parents should be held accountable. We have to start putting consequences to actions.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can't
and
just talk about it.
And kudos to Ian for fighting back and for hitting back. I'm sorry, you know, I'm not a, well, no, I do like violence. Forget it. I was going to say,
Violence
don't do
when
that.
necessary.
No, but violence when necessary.
Absolutely.
Of course, Sarah, you know, he's got to stand up
You
for
have the
himself,
right
and he
to
was
defend
able to.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For sure.
Too many of us stay hit or run away. He didn't. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
Yep, and here we just talked about the trans story before, and this ties into this younger person who's transgendering, learning to stand up for themselves young,
Yeah.
and learning.
It's a message of the modern civil rights movement for LGBT is to stand up. We won't cower in a dark corner anymore. Interesting for us to consider.
Yes, these videos are very good because they're creating awareness. These things happen, and these things have to stop.
That is our queer news headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ plus news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight has reported on coronavirus in every broadcast 2020. Tonight, we report that as of
Virus.
But the news is improving because as of today, more than 408 million vaccination doses have been administered in the United States.
That is our pandemic news for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church right here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at the Sunshine and supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Watch this.
My name is Lexi Goza of Lexi Goza State Farm Insurance in Midtown, Miami, Florida. I'm also a board member of the Aqua Foundation for Women and the chair of the Women's Empowerment Council for the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, now we finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News. In LGBTQ plus Flash News, Russia rips off RuPaul's Drag Race, minus LGBTQ plus people. Wait, say what? Well, the beauty, the glamour, the undiluted heterosexual masculinity. Wait, what? An unofficial adaptation of RuPaul's Drag Race has launched in Russia, but it's removed everything queer from the show. Royal Cobras is hosted by Russian TV presenter and social media star Natsya Ivleva. The Russian show has all the trappings of RuPaul's Drag Race franchise, including wonderful costumes, comedic performances, and epic lip sync battles. But it lacks any acknowledgement of the LGBTQ plus community, which is intrinsically linked to drag culture and RuPaul's Drag Race. Activist Nikita Androvanov told the Moscow Times that Royal Cobras has, quote, nothing to do with the LGBTQ plus agenda in Russia, end quote, because it doesn't explicitly say, quote, this show was about LGBTQ plus people, end quote. He also pointed out that the first episode of the show opens with a disclaimer that it's, quote, not aimed at forming traditional or non-traditional sexual attitudes, end quote. Dude, boys in dresses that are gay all over the world is RuPaul's Drag Race. And it's in Russia, too.
Oh, Russia, get ready because Mama Ru is going to be coming for you.
I watched the first episode of this show, and they have not taken all the gay out of it. This show is gayer than that picture of Vladimir Putin shirtless on a horse.
I agree. I have no words, but this is really comical.
Listen, I think RuPaul's taken off her earrings and she's already booked her flight to Russia.
Oh, that's scary.
Told ya. LGBTQ plus flash news. Girls run the video game world too. So in 1986, Nintendo released the game Metroid. You guys remember that, right? For the NES. It followed a mysterious bounty hunter named Samus Aran as they fought off space pirates and aliens on a strange planet. Players who were thorough in their explorations uncovered an industry-changing surprise. Samus Aran is a woman! Years later, Samus would be followed by other female leads such as Lara Croft and Bayonetta. But she is widely recognized as the first female hero in a video game and quickly became an icon for LGBTQ plus players. Now, 35 years later, Nintendo released the creepy Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch on October 8th, and fans have gone wild. The game has become one of the top-selling video games this weekend, breaking records. The game has already outsold many of the games released this year, showing that girls can still get it done, and they don't have to show some skin to do it. But I'm going to show you a boob right now just to change that thought.
Oh, my dear friend Faye, I do not want to contradict you, but this is not the first female video game hero. Ms. Pac-Man, the bow, she could eat for days and not gain weight. Love her.
My favorite game, but I'm just so excited that this is a woman. It's about time. Probably it was really difficult back then, 35 years ago, that this wasn't possible. I'm just happy.
There's nothing sexier than women with guns, so I'm good with it.
Really?
I love
It's a Halloween costume.
Yeah, really. You know, it's funny to me. I have a stereotype against the LGBTQ community because I had no recognition that gaming was so popular in our community. And our production staff make fun of me and make fun of me, make fun of me of my ignorance.
I was addicted.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, LGBTQ plus flash news. Harness-wearing merman Ken is finally here.
I'm sorry, John. Could you pause just a moment?
Take it all in.
Thank you. Now I'm ready.
There's the picture. If you've been wanting to get your hands on the long-haired, pink-tailed, harness-wearing merman muscle queen version of Barbie's iconic bestie Ken, then you're in luck. We finally know the details of the special edition doll's release and how you can get your hands on it. Last year, Mattel launched their 2020 Barbie Signature Doll Showdown, where social media users got to vote on Mermaid Barbie or King of the Ocean Ken. Since both gay men and 12-year-old girls love hot guys and run social media, Ken obviously won. Members of the Barbie Signature Club, which I am a proud member, can now order their Mer-Ken for $100 with shipping planned to start in June of next year. And I'm just going to have to say no thank you to this. I've already hooked up with enough guys that were kind of scaly down there. Hard pass.
All I can say is Aqua Ken, that is coming to Aqua.
I just have to say, why didn't they channel Jason Momoa a little more?
That's interesting. Mer-Ken beats out Mermaid Barbie, hands down. Girls, I hate to share the news with you.
He is beautiful. He
Looks like
he
Ken.
is beautiful.
You're messing up my line, Grace.
I'm sorry, but he is gorgeous.
Okay, let's start again. Nah, forget it. Grace already stole my thunder. I don't even feel like saying it. Okay, I was gonna say that Ken's been juicing. That's what I was gonna say. Looks like Ken's been juicing.
Oh yeah, I wish we would have ended with Grace's comment.
LGBTQ plus flash news. SNL's proud gay Oompa Loompa spills the tea on that Twink Wonka.
Twink Wonka.
This week's SNL episode saw Colin Josta's Weekend Update discuss the first look photos of Chalamet as a young Willy Wonka that set the internet on fire this week. Jost said that many were calling Chalamet Twink Willy Wonka before turning to what he called a proud gay Oompa Loompa, played by Bowen Yang. With a gasp, Yang said, quote, "Oh my God, you just outed me on national television. I just came here to make a statement on our impending factory strike, and now I guess I've got to call my parents. They live in Loompa land." It's a non-progressive city as here. They just got Will and Grace. So yeah, it's going to be a hard conversation. He then goes on a tirade about Twink, Willy Wonka, who he dubs Twonka. I think it's going to be the new hashtag craze.
I got to shout out Bowen Yang. I have become a fan of his. He is literally becoming gay icon at SNL. His Pride salute in June was just genius. And when he came on as a gay Oompa Loompa Saturday night, gosh, he just hit a bullseye. Bowen Yang is doing an outstanding job for our community.
By far the hottest Willy Wonka ever. So I'm all about it, baby.
That wasn't even the gayest character he had on this past week's show. He was also a daddy long leg.
Daddy long legs. You gotta see it.
I'm just glad I stayed up to watch it. It was worth it. LGBTQ flash news. Scott Holland's What's Hot This Week. Every week's HotSpots magazine brings you the best events in South Florida with Scott Holland's What's Hot This Week. On Thursday, the Stonewall National Museum Archives is pleased to announce the opening of Misinformation, True and Not So True Early Information About AIDS from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the Charles Ross Gallery on Saturday. The National LGBTQ Task Force Miami Gala returns in an exciting new venue, the newly renovated Grand Ballroom at the Miami Beach Convention Center. I can't wait. Also on Saturday, the Eagle Wilton Manors presents special full moon party starting DJ Johnny I, where they invite you to celebrate darkness in the light of the moon. For full information of these and other events, pick up HotSpots magazine on stands now.
I think I know what full moon they're referring to.
And the darkness. I love that Grace did that.
Of course you do.
Right. Grace and Aqua is going to be at the National Task Force on Saturday. You're hosting a table,
Yes.
Which is great. And I'm very excited because I'm hosting the red carpet with Faye Watt and Kitty Meow. It's going to be a fun evening. Lots of talent. It's going to be amazing.
I'm trying to suck it in. 20 pounds by Saturday. 20 pounds by Saturday. I will do it. I will do it.
I'm going to the full moon party.
Of course you are.
I've already got my Z-Pack.
Yeah. That's a good joke.
So that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only
The girls
daily.
are going, huh?
We are.
What?
Yeah.
No, we got it.
well,
Trust me.
Here's the thing. Unfortunately, I got it and don't want to get
No,
it.
I don't want to Kenny.
I got it much later.
With as white as John is, I don't want to see his ass. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Well, then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups that you're a member of. Tonight's stories are about our community, deserve the attention of all your family and friends.
Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world. That is Out of the Closet and Into the Headlines. We need your support.
I guarantee you this doesn't go on at Fox News. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of the Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Faye Watt, John Hayden, Sarah Malega, and Grace Lopez. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we go this evening, we have one final story. Next up, let's queer up travel. Surveys from the LGBTQ plus community indicate we are looking forward to getting out of the house. In fact, these surveys show that travel is the #1 activity we missed while in COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight, we bring you two of the most popular queer people talking about LGBTQ plus travel. Carl and Don from the Couple of Men travel blog are tonight's experts on travel. More than 500,000 interact with these two in this incredibly popular blog every month as they document their travels to more than 50 countries across the planet. And of course, no self-respecting LGBTQ plus travel expert could possibly miss the gayest place on planet Earth, and that is Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and South Florida. So they're here to talk about queer travel as we welcome Carl and Don from A Couple of Men travel blog to Queer News Tonight. Gentlemen, welcome to Queer News.
Thank you.
Very exciting to meet you. You're here traveling across America, and of course, you're ending your visit. You've been here in America for how long?
5 weeks, right?
5 weeks, something like that.
And you're ending your last week very appropriately in South Florida.
Yes.
You know, there's a few LGBTQ people here. We have a few.
Here and there,
right?
yeah.
You're running across a few of them.
Yeah.
Right. So welcome to South Florida and to Queer News Tonight. Tell us about what you've done here in America since you've been here. Where have you been?
Yeah, we actually started our trip in New York. So meeting some friends there, and then we went upstate. Dutchess County was our first stop.
Yeah.
Really beautiful, gorgeous nature. And then we had a flight over the whole country to Las Vegas and attended there a travel convention.
First time to Las Vegas?
Second time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And from Vegas, we actually traveled to Florida. First stop, Orlando. Of course.
Flying to Orlando or driving?
Flying, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
to
a
Orlando.
Second time. I'm a
time.
very big Disney nerd, so I love theme parks, and so we did Universal Studios and Islands of Adventures and all the Disney parks, and it was amazing.
Yes. Now, Carl, you're German.
Yes.
And Don, your partner, Dutch.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us your perspective of the American LGBTQ community. You're just now getting started through this week here in South Florida, but how does the European LGBT differ, same for American LGBT? What are your reactions as you travel?
It's so diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really. I mean, the U.S. is such a big country, so there's so many different places, and of course, there's so many different. You said like groups or.
Communities,
community,
right?
That we're meeting with. So it's very diverse. I would say maybe Americans are a little bit more outspoken in a way.
You talk too much.
I didn't say it. And
I'm going to put words in your mouth. There's no question.
And I think maybe a little less. How do you say it? Like I think especially because. Like across from Germany, and we actually met in Berlin, and I'm Dutch, so I grew up in Amsterdam. I think we're a little less shy on parties maybe than some Americans.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your blog, A Couple of Men, a very masculine blog name. Your partners. How can you possibly stand each other for all of the time that you do in traveling together,
have
and
no
working
idea.
together, and living together? How do you do that?
I think the secret of our relationship to stay together for 8.5 years that we actually can do that, and I'm really appreciating that it doesn't matter how long we are together, we can always be together. And yeah, you know, we started the blog started actually as my personal blog, as something about my travels before I met Dan, and then it turned into we started to share our experience as a couple, and people reacted on that very much. It was something like people needed this information out of a couple's perspective, and that's changed our way of working, our way of blogging, and yeah, we are really proud of that we can be together and show where we can be together, how we are in the world.
Yeah, interesting, and of course travel helps smooth out everything. It makes everything more interesting when you're traveling. Tell us a bit about LGBTQ in the travel world. You're out there ahead of most people, and you're back to telling our community, get out there. Tell us about that, your passion of why you're doing the blog and what you're trying to accomplish in it.
Yeah, I think the main reason is to give people an inspiration of where they can be queer on the road and in the world, and how this changed over the years. I mean, I just always we have this good example when we went to Portland Pride a couple of years back, and it was for us a completely new experience. So many trans and queer people compared to in the past. It was more like gay men, and how that changed. And
you were seeing more diversity.
Yes,
in your travels.
yes, definitely.
That's
a very interesting development what we see, and yeah. Also, the interaction on our social media and our blog is changing. We have a lot of male followers and readers, but it becomes more and more queer, especially on the social media channels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point, because your blog, Couple of Men, you pretty much quickly understand without splashing rainbow colors over it. This is probably queer as it relates to gay, but it's interesting the broader community of the L's and the B's and the T's and the Q's are starting to embrace. As you're traveling and as you have traveled, where are some of your favorite places for yourself that you would encourage LGBT to visit?
I would say, well, actually, there are two places that are our favorites.
From a private perspective?
From a private perspective, that would be Japan. I loved being there, and Iceland, because the nature in Iceland is something I haven't seen anywhere else yet. And it's so quiet. We were driving around in our little rental car, or actually it was quite a big car because you need a big car in Iceland. But it was, just amazing.
And Reykjavik, or?
We actually did a whole island tour. So we rented the car and with a tent, and we actually camping.
You went all the way around?
All the way around the whole island, yes.
Wow, that's
and camping, that was another level of being together and traveling as a couple, because he is really not into camping, and I love camping.
Yes.
So, you know.
And did you do the Blue Lagoon pools?
Yes.
Well, actually, we didn't do the Blue Lagoon. We did the Blue Lagoon in the north, which is a smaller one, but which is also beautiful, a little less known.
Two interesting choices, because Reykjavik and Iceland in general, I think the total population in Iceland is like 300,000 people. And there's like 300,000 people in one block in Tokyo.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting
like
that your interest was this to this. Why Japan?
Because...
Okay, first of all, it's a Disney park. There are two really
it's Tokyo Disney. I'm so disappointed.
I know.
For the entire rest of the interview, you sit silent, and I'm going to talk to Carl.
It was the first reason, and second one is that we just love. Also, we really love Ghibli, the Ghibli movies. I don't know. There's this sort of different kind of energy there, and I really appreciate how respectful everybody is to each other. They might not be as respectful in their mind to each other, but for this way they are. And I think in the West we actually could learn some things about not always to have to say everything that you think, and just sometimes keep it for yourself.
I'm curious, in all of your experiences in traveling, doing this blog, Couple of Men, and traveling across the world, many people that in our community that haven't traveled well may do it out of fear in traveling. What would you say to them in terms of getting out in the world and being concerned about how they'll be perceived as LGBTQ?
Go for it.
Generally speaking, you can have negative encounters even in front of your door, your home. You know, even in Amsterdam, unfortunately, it still happens that gay or queer people getting beaten up, for example. So that should not be a reason to not travel and not educate yourself and not get in touch with local communities while you are traveling, because that's what's broaden your mind and gives you inspiration to think over how you live and what you're doing and the way you are living. And I think this is something. The more and more we get input, we also learn to appreciate the little details in our lives, and that is something that I take really with me from every trip, from every country we are traveling to.
It's an interesting observation. You can face negative things, discrimination in front of your own front door, so you might as well get out in the world. It's a very interesting observation. You came to my attention from Lonely Planet.
Yeah.
And you were recognized as the two guys in the LGBTQ
Crazy.
community in travel and Lonely Planet.
Yeah.
What an impressive achievement that
Thank
is.
you so much.
When you heard that news, what did you think about that?
It was unbelievable.
We thought it was fake. We thought it was like, what kind of email scam is this?
I know every LGBT person listening to this knows Lonely Planet.
Yeah.
The best in travel as bloggers, but to be recognized as the two bloggers of 2021, the storytellers of the year, that's just an amazing achievement. Just an amazing achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All of your experiences around the world, where do you must get to? Where is there's my bucket list. Where is it going to be?
Thinking it,
If
you
tell
know,
me
you're
Newark, I'm going to be really disappointed. In Lonely Planet's Storytellers of the Year. Where is it going to be?
I would love to go to New Zealand.
New
That's
Zealand?
really on my
favorite place on the planet. New Zealand. Yeah.
That's really like, I'm looking especially the nature part. Dan mentioned earlier in Japan.
South Island.
That we did in Japan this pilgrimage. Like we actually hiked over the mountains for a couple of days and stayed in private family homes. And this connection to nature, I think in New Zealand, I'm expecting something similar. And similar, beautiful and white. And
the mountains are beautiful. You've seen Lord of the Rings, of course, and that is exactly the way it looks. The fjords, the Southern Alps, the people. It's a magnificent place. And your bucket list is?
Actually, I wanted to say New Zealand as well, but I'm also never been to Ireland, which I think would fit me quite well.
So like a 40-minute flight and you haven't done it. Okay, all right. I was reading. I was reading, Don. Before I let you go, tell us about your experience here in South Florida. You've been here for 4 or 5 days now. Tell us, what do you think about South Florida? Is this your first visit?
Yeah.
First time.
South Florida,
Very good.
yes.
I did not expect how huge Miami would be.
It's a
Massive,
unbelievable.
and so beautiful, and we love the beach and the water. It's like this blue water that you can see through, and it's warm when you swim. And it's
the first day we did like a bike tour to South Point, and we couldn't resist to just drop everything and just go into the water, and it was like perfection, and that was our first impression.
You know, Europeans, LGBTQ community that come, the Port of Miami is the #1 visitor source for LGBTQ in the world. Port Everglades and Fort Lauderdale is #2. So we have a huge number of LGBT that come to South Florida. Obviously, we have so many wonderful attractions and our beaches and our community, etc. But Europeans are always shocked because they see downtown Miami for the first time. And they don't realize in the entire Western Hemisphere, in terms of a skyline, Miami is #3 behind New York and Chicago. Not Los Angeles, not Houston, not San Francisco. It's Miami. It is a stunning city to see. It's absolutely magnificent. Your plans are here through the weekend, so you're going to absolutely go wild and crazy. And
it's because it's the end of our trip. Should be a mixture.
Yes.
So tomorrow we are going to the Everglades.
Everglades, yeah.
And
you see some alligators and Native Americans.
I guess so.
Yes. So you're going to see more alligators than you can possibly imagine.
Beautiful.
And what else are you planning?
And
to
on
drag queens, alligators, and drag queens.
Yeah, we heard we are going to see some drag queens. Yes.
Sunday brunch or two.
Yeah.
Right.
And on Saturday we are planning to go to we heard there are some gay beaches in Miami.
Yeah, and some of them are naked.
That's the one.
And we have here a German, so
we're up naked at the beach. So
well, it's a novelty even still here in South Florida. It will not be a novelty to you, but
we have to check it out.
Yes, of course. It's a fact-finding mission. You're doing your work.
Exactly. Research.
It's research. It's research. Yes. Exactly right. Well, Carl, Don, a great pleasure to meet you. Everybody, you must check out their blog. Coupleofmen.com is their website. They're here in South Florida and Miami all of this week. Pleasure meeting you. Get to New Zealand and make sure you say very, very good things about South Florida, especially this little television show that you were on here. And tell your European
We will
friends.
make sure about
yes,
this.
Yes, exactly. So thank you very much. Very excited to meet both of you. And again, congratulations. The Lonely Planet Story Writers Award is just really an absolute magnificent moment
so
for
much.
you.
Thank you.
And all of the best in getting out in the world. Thank you for LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need